So this leads to another question. In terms of like, I'm sure there's a new generation of stunt people in the movie portrayed by Terrence Lau. I'm not sure Terrence is actually don't really have a martial arts background, right? Yes. But apparently he also stars in this movie as a martial artist as well. But how does that juxtapose? Like in the old generation way, really going for it, never say die, never stuntman, never say no. And how does that move on to the new generation, that approach, right? I'm sure in the movie you try to touch upon. And also yourself as a stuntman, how you see the industry has evolved over the years?
Well, in Tong Wei's generations, majority of them, of their upbringing and background came from traditional martial arts school, Chinese opera, acrobatic training, like Jackie Chan and Sammo Hung. So they do carry that traditional sifu, master and student, that kind of dynamics. And the way of the teaching and communication is very strict. And they have very high expectations of their martial arts. So on the film set, they would also carry that dynamic as well. So there's a lot of very heavy hierarchy driven. If you are Sifu, as in the film Philip was saying, if Sifu brought you the job, the stuntman would never say, they would never say no. It's their duty to execute the stunts. Whereas in the new generations, our upbringing are more like coaches, students. We pay the coach to teach us martial arts. So in a way, the dynamic is really different, and that does translate to the film set as well. And for Tong Wei's character, they've experienced the golden age, the good times. Whereas Terrence or like my generations, at borderline, we came to industry difficult times. So there are a lot of younger stuntmen, they would look out for other opportunities. So you will see the shift of priority and also skill set. But one thing I really want to remind audiences, especially hopefully I will inspire new generations, is to maintain that resilience and determination, which is very strong in Tong Wei's generation as stuntman.
That's beautifully said. I really enjoyed watching like the 80s and 90s action movie, and also continuing seeing Twilight the Warrior, and recently there's a revival going on as well. As the first-time director with Herbert as well, was there any difficulty, because action movies are not easy to shoot? Because like as a film critic, I've known if you shot an action scene, probably take 20 days for 5-minute sequence, and then you shoot a drama, probably 20 days. So how do you allocate the time and also the budget, and this is your first feature, to really challenge yourself to make an action movie?
It's actually very difficult for us to convince the government program. So this film was funded by the government program. It's called First Film Initiative. It's a funding for first-time director. I think it's because Herbert and I came from a stuntman background, and I think that's really helped to sell the fact that, in fact, in this FFFI program, it's the first feature film using this fund to shoot an action flick. And it's the difficulties came from when we shoot a day of action footage, it would probably end up 20 to 30 seconds on screen. So we really need to balance out how much time can we spend on set, how many takes per shot. One of the big challenge is to do the first fighting sequence in the mall, because we're trying to recreate the police story type of action movie, and we only have one night to do it. So the glass cabinet you've seen, we only have one. So there's no mistake. And, but luckily, our stunt choreographer, which is also the director of Twins Mission, with his years of experience, I'm rest assured that he's able to complete what we set out to do. And if you remember the first 5 minutes of the 80s sequence, it took us 3 days, including the bridge, the jumping and all that with the drama. So the mall, the bridge drama, total 3 days out of the 19 days of production. So that's roughly 60-70% of our production timeline, and that's a big risk. Because when Steven was reading the script, he warned us, are you sure you guys really want to spend 3 days out of 19 days just to shoot a backstory? That doesn't really move the story forward. So Herbert and I spent quite a bit of time trying to convince ourselves that I think we have the obligation to bring the audience back to the 80s, because that's where our inspiration came from. And not just for my own sake, but I also thought that it really helped the audience to understand Sam, his character background, what motivates him, what is more important for him in terms of his arts as a stunt coordinator. Because when we come to the present time, his ego is consistently and dignity being challenged by the crew, other members of the filmmakers.
And I'm going to open the floor for some questions. Any first takers? Yeah. Michael? Microphone.
Thank you. Is that working?
No.
Hello? Okay. First and foremost, I think that was a real breakaway from the traditional kung fu style, kick, do all this, the gymnastics. It had emotion, it had proper filmmaking, it had feeling about life, family, it included everything. It avoided the chase scene from any American movie. So it was very full of a proper movie, but the theme was really solid. The genre has gone, but what you've produced, will that be now on the global international scene? Because it has potential to be a very well-respected movie. How do you take it to the next level for global distribution?
The film was distributed globally last year. I think it's because it's a small film, and also it's a very niche subject matter. One of the things I really hoped it would reach out more to the audience is if we had more budget for marketing. That was my take on it. And we meticulously, we did set out to do an action flick. It was really a story about a bunch of people trying to make one. And we intentionally trying to give like an all-round 360-degree of what Hong Kong stuntman is like. What is their life? You know, I mean, we have seen a bunch of Jackie Chan's movie in the past. You know, the stuntmen will fall from the clock towers or whatever and whatnot. Where are they now? You know, they have put their sweat and blood into the work. What happened to them now? Are they being recognized? No. like is it a waste of time of them putting forth of their skills and time into it. I was actually talking to an ex Jackie Chan Generation 1 stuntman on the set. He once told me, share a story with his daughter. I remember it was around Father's Day actually. And he told me her daughter said, "Hey Dad, you spent so much effort helping Jackie to build his fame, but nobody knows who you are. But I do." His daughter said, "You will be always my hero." And then I did not expect he was bursting into tears on set. And other people was looking around like, I didn't do this. But it was the touching moment that, I gotta put this father and daughter story into the film to let people know that how much people spend their life into creating these classics and be forgotten. And I mean, in the film you will see each character had to make a choice. And for Sam, he tries very hard to be a good father, although he was not good at it. And one of the theme in the film is try your best and not to carry any regret for the rest of your lives. And I think this carried forward through Sam's story as well as Terrence's story. Any next question? Yeah, Raymond?
Thank you so much, Albert,
Thank you so much for really touching meditation almost on the life and humanity of these stuntmen who really, like anyone who says action films are shallow or whatever, actually, your film really kind of is a corrective to that. You probably due to your exposure and experience, being a stuntman and also kind of being immersed in the cinematic world, you kind of draw a parallel between the golden age of the stuntmen in the martial arts world with the sort of golden age of kind of Hong Kong soft power, right? Like the 黃金時代, that kind of zeitgeist, the spirit. In 2025, what can we do to recover kind of that kind of soft power that seems for you to characterize Hong Kong? That sort of action spirit.
I think it's important to honor the past, honor our roots, where we came from, how we actually got here today, and how would I say this? Be resilient, do not give up, but at the same time, you gotta have hope, because without hope, you cannot move forward. Even though I say honor our roots, honor our past, sometimes you gotta let go. You gotta let go how great it was. Otherwise, you are unable to move forward. I'm just gonna give you a little story about my own experience. So when I was working on this movie, I was very lucky. First time as an actor, I was able to work with Sammo Hung on the big cast, Wu Jin and all that. But after this film, I wasn't able to find any more work as an actor. There's many reasons. One of them would be during that time, a lot of production went to China. So there wasn't a lot of production here in Hong Kong. And then I actually worked for Disney on a 9-to-5 job. On the side, I would be working as an actor, an extra. Sometimes on film set, people would recognize me. Hey, aren't you? Didn't you play a important part in this film, supporting actor? I was like, yeah. And then they would wonder, like, why on earth are you here working as an extra? In a way, I was like backtracking. But then I looked beyond that. The reason why I was there even as an extra is to observe how other directors work on set, why they make certain decisions on set. It's just a learning process for me, but really depends on how you look at it. And even after 10 years working for Disney, I said, okay, I have enough of this job. I gotta really go back to the filmmaking business. So how could I do that? So after speaking to several people, ended up talking to the chairman of Hong Kong Stunt Association, and it just happened that he is there's a new stunt training program, and during the time I was like 36. It's kind of old to like do all that martial art training, and then I've been out of training for like 10 years. But it's something I gotta do, in order to get back to the industry. But at the same time, I knew majority of my classmates, they are not from the film industry. The moment I step in the training ground, they would not respect me as a senior in a way, and they would look at me in an odd way. It's like, dude, you're not working out, that's why you're coming back. I'm like, yeah, but like, so what? Sometimes you gotta overcome that fear of being judged in order to move forward.